إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله وكذلك أوحينا إليك روحا من أمرنا ما كنت تدري ما الكتاب ولا الإيمان ولكن جعلناه نورا نهدي به من نشاء من عبادنا وإنك لتهدي إلى صراط مستقيم صراط الله. My dear brothers and sisters, قلوبنا والقرآن, our hearts with the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. يقول أحد السلف, one of the righteous predecessors, saying in reference to the Quran, ما زاد حزبي من القرآن إلا وازدادت البركة في وقتي وما زلت أزيد حتى بلغ حزبي 10 أجزاء. One of the righteous predecessors telling us what the Quran does when it comes to time, which is the most important thing in our life, and this is what we made of. He's saying that I have my hizb. Hizb is half of juzu, and it is always reference to the person who does qiyam al-layl, and those who are steadfast on reading the Quran, they read their hizb. So he said, my hizb increased and continued to increase. From 10 pages, it goes maybe 11, 12, 13, 14. Yani the habit that I have in reading the Quran started to increase from the minimum that we normally do. And he is noticing something special. Every time he increases the hizb, what happens? His time is more blessed. The time that we look for, that we always telling one another, I don't have time, I don't have time. That is our main excuse for anything in this life. I would, but I don't have time. I could have, but I didn't have time. He's saying, when I used to invest my time in the Quran, my time increased. And I said the word invest because in reality the way it appears, waste. Because you are spending the time that you're looking for in reading the Quran. For a person who doesn't believe in it, he wasted his time. He could have used that time for whatever purpose he wants. But for the believer, it's an investment, similar to the charity. When you give, it's an obvious decrease in your wealth. But for the believer, it's an increase. Because he's not looking at right now, he's looking at the result of it. So I put more time in the Quran, and I see the time that I'm looking for is more blessed, meaning I accomplish a lot more things with the basic time that I have, a lot more than what I did or I used to accomplish before. How many of us sometimes they feel like their whole weekend is a waste? They did not benefit from it, yet you have so much time. Where did it go? It's like you're running around yourself. You go, but you don't accomplish anything. You still have to do it in a different time. It's postponed, it's delayed, not enough time, canceled, you name it. Yet you find another person who is taking care of the Quran. Whenever he goes, subhanallah, everything is so smooth. Whatever plans you have, it goes perfect as planned. Whenever you want to do something, sometimes, did you notice that sometimes you go to do just some paperwork or maybe a document or something, and you go and usually long line, and all of a sudden you go as if you're the only one there? Or you go there and maybe they're closed and for some reason they let you in, and even though you're not, how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala facilitates things for you is how you invest your time. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala makes something easy for you, in reality, He saved you whatever time it usually takes in your understanding. So He's saying that I noticed that increase and blessing in my time because of the Quran. So I wanted more time. So I increased by recitation. Look at the mentality. I want more time. It's not like I stop at 11 and say, Alhamdulillah, Allah bless my time. No, I want more blessing. Just like Prophet Dawood alayhi salam, when you talk about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, rained on him the locust, or basically it's gold, and he was collecting, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala asked him, He said, didn't I suffice you from the blessings that I gave you? He said, oh Allah, I don't have enough. I'm too greedy for more of your blessings. And the same way you read Quran and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala blesses your time, I want to take advantage of your generosity, oh Allah. You are the most generous and you're the one who can bless my time. I want to take my time. And he said, I continued to increase until my hizb became 10 juzu. 10 juzu, that's 20 hizb. So look how many times he multiplied that. That takes about 5 hours, maybe 6 hours when you read it for some fluent reader. So 6 hours in your day reading the Quran, and everything in your life it's like a full-time job, and you still have your job. And yet you are accomplishing more things in this life. So this is one of the specialties of the Quran. It blesses your time. Why? Because anytime you spend your time in pleasing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, or anything, not just time, anything you do for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it blesses the thing that is similar to it. I put more time in reading, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave me more time back. I put money for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave me more money. I am in a hurry for something, like كان رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم إذا حزمه أمر هرع إلى الصلاة. When time gets tight, when he is concerned, when he wants to accomplish something, and you are really needing time, and you need to focus, and you need to think, he rushes to prayer. Which apparently seems to most people, it's like picture yourself, you're in a hurry to get to work, and you run and you go pray 2 rak'ah, so you can get early. You have 5 minutes. Now after you pray 2 rak'ah, maybe you have 3 minutes to get to work. How Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to bless it? That's not your job. Let Him do it subhanahu wa ta'ala. So when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you do something for His sake, don't start condition and make and think of avenues how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to give you that back. It's like, I know my job, I know how much I'm going to get paid every week or every month, and here what it is. I don't have any other investments, I don't have any sources, I don't have this and that. So if I give $100, I wonder where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to give me that back. I know exactly, that's not your job. Your limited mind is not going to think of an avenue. But your understanding of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala unlimited plans and how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala facilitates things, I would not be surprised if you go to your backyard and you find the money there. Personally, I won't. Your money will come there. I'll give you an example. The other day I gave little things. Some lady asked, don't have much. I have in my wallet few dollars, to be honest with you. That's all I have. I gave it to her. Later on that day, I'm checking the mail, and I receive a check for $224 from Farmers Insurance, which is a company that I'm not with for the past 4 or 5 years. They don't owe me money. I don't owe him any money. There's nothing in between us. I don't know if anything happened. So I was reading in their letter, it says there was a class action settlement, and they are reimbursing the previous customers. To me, this money does not exist. Honestly, the first thing came to my mind, what did I do good? And I remember that. And I said, subhanAllah, under $10 gave me $224. This is how I look at it personally. So this avenue, if I were to stop and think, okay, I'm going to give $10, what am I going to get? 10 times 10 minimum, $100, what am I going to get it? It would never cross my mind. Yet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala brought it. So when you deal with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, leave the plans to Him. He promised you, and that's it. That's all you need to know. The first quality of the believers in Surah Al-Baqarah, الَّذِينَ يُؤْمِنُونَ بِالْغَيْبِ, those who believe in the unseen. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He said, وَمَن يَتَّقِ اللَّهِ يَجْعَلْ لَهُ مَخْرَجًا. If you have taqwa of Allah, you safeguard the commands of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you protect yourself from falling into haram, into disobedience, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will find you a way out. You have a job that is involved in haram and you want to exit from that. You determined on that. You did your best and you relied on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as He promised He will find you a way out. He will find you a way out subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's how you should believe as a believer. Yes, we do have our doubts. We're not perfect. But I'm talking about people who rely and trust on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala when He promises that He will deliver. This is a specialty of the Quran. Another specialty is the guidance. The guidance that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala promised when He said, Inna ta'keed. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is affirming that this Quran guides to the best and the most perfect way and path that leads you to Jannah and the best in this life. As Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in the ayah I recite every time, وَإِنَّكَ لَتَهْدِي إِلَى صِرَاطٍ مُسْتَقِيمٍ. Indeed, surely you guide to the most perfect path. What path? صِرَاطِ اللَّهِ. The path of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The path that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala planned for all of us. So this is a quality for the Quran, that He guides you in this life and in the hereafter. A second quality is shifa, healing. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, قُلْ هُوَ لِلَّذِينَ آمَنُوا هُدًى وَشِفَاء. Guidance and healing. What kind of healing? Spiritual? Did Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala say that? No. Physical? Did He say that? No. What did He say? Shifa. Shifa is nakira. Any shifa, physical or spiritual or mental, whatever you put it, it's a healing. You mean to tell me if I'm sick, I read the Quran and it heals me? Yes. If you qualify for it. If you qualify for it. Listen what Ibn al-Qayyim rahimahullah said. Al-Quran huwa al-shifa'u al-'am min jami' al-adwa' al-qalbiyya wal-badaniyya وأدواء الدنيا والآخرة وما كل أحد يؤهل ولا يوفق الاستشفاء به إلا من وفقه الله سبحانه وتعالى. He said, Quran is a general healing from all diseases, heart diseases, spiritual diseases, and physical diseases, the diseases of this world and the hereafter. What are the diseases of the hereafter? You see, we refer to disease as a virus or a germ, but actually a disease is any bad thing that happens to you. So when you are tested in the grave, that's a disease. When you are punished or you stay under the sun the day of judgment, that's a disease. When you walk on the sirat, that's a disease, because it is something contrary to what makes you live healthy or be healthy or feel healthy. So it's a disease. He said it is from all. And look what he said. Not everyone is qualified for it. فَمَنْ لَمْ يَشْفَ بِالْقُرْآنِ يَكُونُ بِسَبَبْ عَدَمْ تَأْهِيلِهِ. If you're not healed with the Quran, then you don't qualify for that. It's because you don't really believe in what you're reading, or you're doing whatever you're doing wrong. You're seeking a wrong way. You're going to a magician, for instance. You go into a palm reader. You're going to one of those, what do you call it? The wicked people who claim that they know the unseen. You're seeking a haram path or a wrong path that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did not guide you for it. or you just don't believe in it. You know, it's like he has a headache, and I said, okay, let me read Al-Fatiha on you. And then okay, and he'll be smiling, looking at everyone, like this is, oh, you know, a cute way of treatment, you know. It's like deep inside, it's not going to work. But, you know, I'm not going to say no, you know, that's a sheikh. I'll just let it slide. How are you going to heal? How is it going to heal you? It's not. Just like one person was talking about dua. Prophet Musa alayhi salam, when he saw someone making dua, and he was, the way he appears, the way he sounds, so sincere. He said, oh Allah, if I can really have what he's asking for things Prophet Musa alayhi salam cannot fulfill. He said, wallahi, if I can fulfill what he has, I would. Meaning, oh Allah, you can fulfill it for him. What was the answer? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, oh Musa, this guy is calling me, but his heart is with his sheep, not with me. I'll give you something to get it closer to your understanding. You're talking to me, and you know you're coming, you're in need for me badly. And you come and you say, Sheikh Hassan, please help me. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reward you. I really need your help. Please help me. And you have your phone and you're checking messages and you're texting or you're doing something. That's physical, because I don't know what's in your heart. But with my eyes, I can see what you're doing. In his heart, it's like a visual thing for us. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sees what his heart is busy with. Just like you're talking to me and your eyes and your mind is not busy with me, is with this. You think I'm going to believe anything you asked me for, or I'm going to give it to you. So what kind of an insult? You come in asking me and you are texting and you're talking on your phone. Even if I'm talking and you're doing that, I would see it a major disrespect. Can you imagine when you come begging me for something and you're not attentive? That's why sometimes in the salah, we think we prayed. You know, you're going there, Subhana Rabbi al-Azim, Subhana Rabbi al-Azim. You know what you're talking about? You're making dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's not like, if you were to come and ask me for something, say that you want $100 from me, you would walk up to me and say, Sheikh Hassan, I need $100 from you, Sheikh Hassan, I need $100 from you, and you walk away. You think I'm going to follow you and say, oh brother, yeah, here's your $100. This is how we do the prayer, and we think that we did something wonderful. Why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is answering? Because you're not there when you're talking, and you're doing it in the most disrespectful way. You're making dua, and this is how you think, and this is how you talk. You see, we do it, but we don't think about it this way, because we don't know what the prayer really is. The prayer is Quran. You're reciting Quran. What's the purpose of the Quran? We said it last time. To reflect upon it, to apply it in our life, and to make it touch our heart. And how can it touch our heart? To understand who's the speaker and what is he speaking about, and our situation from that. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَقَالَ الرَّسُولُ يَا رَبِّ إِنَّ قَوْمِ اتَّخَذُوا هَذَا الْقُرْآنَ مَهْجُورًا. It should break your heart. The Prophet ﷺ complaining to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala about us. Oh Allah, my followers abandoned the Quran of guidance, the healer, your words. They're abandoning it. It's a major complaint the day of judgment for Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, and you're reading it as if وقال الرسول يا رب إن قوم اتخذوا هذا القرآن مهجورا وكذلك جعلنا لكل نبي. Come on. Think about what you're reading. Are you applying the Quran? Are you understanding it? Are you considered from those people who are abandoning it? Yes. Because abandoning the Quran is not like I don't hold the Quran and read. It can be you don't read. It can be you don't ponder over it. It can be you don't apply it. It can be you turn away from it and you listen to something else. So abandoning the Quran is not limited on I don't see the Quran, because Sheikh, I'm not abandoning the Quran. Wallahi, every day I take the Quran and I read a few pages or I read a juz'u. Well, you're not abandoning the Quran from the aspect of reading, but you're abandoning it from other aspects. So this Quran is made for us to guide us and to heal us if we qualify for it. If your mind is there and you understand, your dua is accepted. You know that Sahaba radiallahu anhum, some of them said, if I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to remove that mountain or move it from this place and this place, He will answer my dua. This is how confident and how sure and how much they believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and they know His ability. This is as confident as it's done. Just like when a person gives the charity, he is more confident of the return more than the money in his pocket. It's like, I have $10, I can see it, I have $10. No, when I give that $10, I have at least 100, and I am as sure as holding that $10. That is belief. That is complete reliance and trust on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It takes work. It's not something that you accomplish overnight, but we can strive to get to that. So that's how the Sahaba accepted Islam, and they were pagans. They did not know, they did not read, hardly any of them read or can write, yet they got to that level. How did they? The whole life of the Prophet ﷺ, 23 years. Assuming they accepted Islam from day one, guess what? In 23 years they reached that level. How old are we? How many years we have been in Islam? How come we did not reach that? You can reflect on that. We can tell you that Sa'd ibn Ubadah radiyallahu anh accepted Islam when he was 30 years old, died when he was 36. Guess what happened when he died? The throne of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala shook for his death. What is the meaning of shook for his death? Was so excited to receive his spirit. So excited to receive his spirit. In 6 years he reached that level. 6 years, brothers, not 23 years, not 50 or 60. What did he do? Maybe instead of focusing on what did he do, I will focus, what did I do? Or what am I doing? And then we can move forward. Instead of focusing on what did, it's obvious that he did a lot, which means time is not really a barrier. In 6 years you can accomplish what someone accomplished in 50 years. And Nawawi rahimahullah died how old? 45 years old. The book that every one of us reads, Riyadh al-Salihin, it's his. It's his. And this is one of the many things that he did. In 45 years, it's like, I don't remember anything so special I ever did. And we call ourselves shuyukh, and we call ourselves imams, and we call ourselves da'iyah, and we call ourselves, but we really don't have much people that can take from us. And how did he accomplish all of that? To be one of the greatest. Maybe if you compare him to someone of the current shuyukh who lived 80 years or 90 years, definitely he did a lot more. And what did they used to do? Ibn Taymiyyah and such, you know, they did not live for such a long time. They used to go and pray and bow in the desert, in the heat of the desert, begging Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to bless their time, as if their time is not blessed. With all this blessing, they wanted more. This person reading the Quran, he noticed the increase. What did he do? He kept reading more to get more time. That's what I call aspiration, and that's what I call people who are competing for the hereafter. So if your Quran doesn't do what it's supposed to do, look at the defect in yourself. Do you really believe in it? Ibn al-Qayyim again, rahimahullah, he said, I went to Mecca and I became very sick. For a whole month, I was taking Zamzam water, reading Al-Fatiha on it several times until I was healed. And I continued to do that every time I get sick, and recommend it for people who come to ask me about healings. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, watch my words, benefited many. What does that mean? Not all. Why? It's the heart. Do they believe in it? It benefited them. Him, how many times he did it? 30 days. Reading and drinking. If I give you some healing recipe like that, take this water and read on it. What are you going to do? You're going to do it 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, maybe a week. You say it's not working, Shaykh. Even the Sahaba radiallahu anhum, some of them, Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam recommended for them. He said, oh, my brother is having problems with diarrhea. He said, read al-Fatiha on him. He read it. He said, it got worse. He said, read al-Fatiha on him. He said, I read it. It got even worse. He said, صَدَقَ اللَّهُ وَكَذَبَ بَطْنُ أَخِيكَ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says the truth. The stomach of your brother is the liar. Read al-Fatiha on him. He read it. He got healed. Why? Scientifically or medically, now they say to cure the diarrhea, the body has to get rid of all of that. So when he read al-Fatiha, or maybe he told him give him honey or something like that, either read al-Fatiha or give him honey. I think give him honey. What honey did, it made his body expel all the harms from his body. So it appeared to him it got worse. In reality, it's cleaning it faster. And instead of having a diarrhea for a week, you're maybe having it for 2-3 days. You see how you reflect and how you understand, and how Prophet Muhammad ﷺ told him, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said the truth. What's the truth? يَخْرُجُ مِن بُطُونِهَا شَرَابٌ مُخْتَلِفٌ أَلْوَانُ فِيهِ شِفَاءٌ لِلنَّاسِ. Comes from the stomach of the bee, a drink with different colors in it, healing to people. Don't limit it to some healing. So take it with faith and it will work. Finally, what the Quran, special things that I want to talk today about, the special things for the Quran, تنوير القلب بالتوحيد, that it enlightens your heart with tawheed. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, أَوَمَنْ كَانَ مَيْتًا, and in a riwayah, مَيِّتًا فَأَحْيَيْنَاهُ. Is it he the one who was dead? Then we brought him to life. You know what he is setting the example for? A disbeliever who accepted Islam. He was dead, then with La ilaha illallah, he became alive. And what's the theme of the Quran? Tawheed. What is the Quran? What's the whole, everything in the Quran talking about what? Or trying to lead you to what? To know that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the only creator and the only one who deserves your worship. That's it. That's the whole thing of the Quran. It revolves around that. The commands to get you to that. The stories to get you to that. The descriptions of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to get you to that. So this is what the Quran does. It enlightens your heart with tawheed, and it saves you from the punishment of the hellfire. Look how, لو جمع القرآن في إهاب ما أحرقه الله بالنار. If Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala were to take the Quran and put it in a container, and takes that container and throws it in hell, hellfire will not burn that container. Why? Because if it burns it, it burns the words of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. How can the fire dare to do that? Just like a virus. If you believe in the word of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, this tiny virus is going to fight the words of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and stay alive and not get out? Impossible. The mountains will crush asunder from the words of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and a tiny virus is going to reject it? No way. So, your container will not be burned in the hellfire. Okay, well, this container is my heart. I memorize the Quran, and I have it in my heart, and I believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and someone takes me and throws me in hellfire. Fire is not going to burn me. If I memorize that Quran for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sincerely, fire will not burn me. It's impossible. Because if it's a container, a separate container, a container that doesn't talk, doesn't do any good, doesn't have belief or will or anything, the Quran, the fire doesn't burn it. It's going to burn someone who constantly says the Tawheed and calls for the Tawheed and did the Tawheed and memorized everything that talks about the Tawheed. It's going to burn it? It's not. So what is that? A glad tiding for you and me to increase our recitation and our reading for the Quran, the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and be keen that we have it in our heart as much as we can. Not necessarily you have to memorize all of it, but part of it will do that, inshaAllah, when you act upon it. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that He makes the Quran an intercessor for us, something that we live by, something that we love to do for the blessing of our time and for the healing of our body and for the guidance in this world and the hereafter. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reward all of you for listening. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to guide us all. جزاكم الله خيرا سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك نشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك ونتوب إليك والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.